But then again, I was like, I want to be somewhere where I can just take basketball very seriously and focus on like one program. I don't really want to move around. I want to work with one thing. And luckily, my mom, she was very receptive, super fortunate. My mom, single mother growing up, but she poured everything into me. So once she kind of heard that, she was like, okay, I'm going to get you at a place where you can do a little bit of both.
You in ICU, your whole life you've been a fighter, you've been working hard, and you're always willing to go that extra mile to get the job done when it comes to basketball or in life. In that moment in ICU, how are you feeling? Like, is this like, are you wondering, is this, and I mean no respect, is this, we wondering, is this the end of my story? Or is it like, no, I need to battle back for myself?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I had a bad taste in my mouth about Anoka Ramsey once I left. And this parent, he called me, Coach, I've been watching you, and I just feel like you would be a really good college coach. How would you feel about coaching college? And you know me, I'm jumping at an opportunity. So I'm like, yeah, what? This is exciting.
Yeah.
College, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, what school is it? And he's like, Anoka Ramsey. I went mute. I went mute on the phone. And he was like, Coach, are you still there? I met with Coach Sam. We interviewed like later that week, and we hit it off instantly. We have the same mindset when it comes to being competitors, and we love to scheme and scout and develop, and we hit it off right away. We hit it off right away. And again, I just felt that family energy. I felt like I was going to be in a place where we got to make impact. Anoka Ramsey has always had a great track record at being a competitive program. And so I was like, absolutely. Absolutely.
Back to Fast Break Focus. This is the season three. We are back. This episode here is one that came highly recommended. This person's story was told to me on an earlier episode. You guys will see it. Coach Sam just said, she said her assistant coach absolutely needed her story told. This is what this podcast is for, is to get women voice out there. And without further ado, Coach Sha, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
And so, what is the correct way to say your first
My first name correctly is Shayron, but I go by
name?
Coach Shay.
Gotcha,
Hmm.
gotcha. Sounds good, sounds good. So first thing we like to do on Fast Break Focus is we like to ask, what was your introduction to women's basketball and when did you start
Ooh, I started playing when I was 6 years old. I grew up in a fairly athletic family. Lots of my uncles played, grandparents. I definitely was the tomboy of the family, so I gravitated a little more to them. I always kind of wanted to be outside. And then as my uncle Marcus, he got older, he definitely went a little more competitive with sports. And I just kind of fell in love with being around. I loved the energy. I loved being in the gym. So at a very young age, I definitely was just trying to find as many ways as I could to get back in the gym, by a basketball court, and just listen and learn and watch. And so it was a very young age. 6 years old, I think I started in like a little rec league, and then I really loved it. So I was like, I want to get as competitive as we can. Let's move on. Let's keep going. So 6 years old. I'm 29 now. Um, so it's been a lot of years. It's been a lot of
playing?
years.
So what was high school basketball like?
High school basketball. It was a bit of an adjustment. I moved around a lot at a young age. So kind of trying to find where I fit in. One thing that was really important to my mom was academics. So she wanted me to be at a good school where I could get a quality education. But again, once she kind of noticed that I was taking sports a little more seriously too, she definitely wanted to put me in a program that had more structure. So I ended up going to Blaine High School out of Blaine, Minnesota, and um, it was an adjustment. They had a pretty set team. They had some girls who had Blaine. They run a really nice program. They start working with those girls in like middle school, so they had a pretty set team when I moved to the program. Um, but very quickly, like I fell in love. again with those girls. I enjoyed playing with them. I made some good friends, and I was naturally a competitor. I just wanted to be a part of a team where I made impact. I wanted to show that I could make impact wherever I was. So um, once I kind of showed myself and proved myself a little bit, they leaned into me and they're like, okay, this kid's got a little bit of skill. We'll welcome her in. Um, and so it was good. It was competitive. My first couple years there, it was more so learning. I definitely got a broader idea of the game and just kind of play styles and schemes and scouting and fast pace. It was definitely, I definitely played basketball more for like the fun, you know, but Blaine definitely showed me structure and game planning. And we did well. I had a very successful career. I would lead in scoring. I would lead in rebounding. My senior year, we made it all the way to section finals, so we had a pretty solid year. Never got to chase that state ring,
Right.
but I definitely learned a lot. It was an enjoyable experience. I still talk to quite a few of my teammates from high school too, so I think it was successful.
So what was it like? So wait, actually, you say you moved to Blaine. Where are you from?
Originally, I come from like Twin Cities area, like Robbinsdale,
Got
Minneapolis, Brooklyn Park area, kind of around there. So I was kind of in and out of like the New Hope School District, a little bit of Plymouth. So I was kind of moving around there. Um, but then again, I was like, I want to be somewhere where I can just take basketball very seriously and focus on like one program. I don't really want to move around. I want to work with one thing. And luckily, my mom, she was very receptive, super fortunate. My mom, single mother growing up, but she poured everything into me. So once she kind of heard that, she was like, okay, I'm going to get you at a place where you can do a little bit of both. So
sounds
that's kind of how I ended up at Blaine.
yeah,
Yeah.
sounds yeah. Was it a hard adjustment for her to move to a new place?
I think so. I think my mom was definitely, she's definitely put everyone before you first. Um, and so I think she definitely dealt with some battles silently and adjustments on her own. But I know that she did it for me. So, and I always kept that in the back of my mind. My mom and I are fairly close. We're actually really close now. So I would always like kind of watch her, you know. She probably didn't think I was watching her, but I could definitely tell like she was making some sacrifices for me to be there. And I knew I didn't want to let her down. I knew I didn't want to let her down. So wherever I was at, I wanted to make the most of it and know that, you know, whatever sacrifices she made for me, like it wasn't in vain.
Right. And so, what was it like for your recruiting process? Like, what made Northland Community Technical College? What made you go there?
Whew, recruiting, it looked a little different back then than it does
I was
now.
say
It
because
looked
there
a
ain't too many
little,
people going to Minnesota to recruit.
oh, it looked a little different. My recruiting process, full transparency, it was very slow. Um, I wasn't really big in the circuit of like, I didn't really have a platform. I was a kid that moved around a lot, that didn't have a lot of stats or big accolades with one program. I definitely was a player that was very under the radar, wasn't anybody really checking for me or searching for me. But I knew I loved the game. I knew I had just a natural ability, and the numbers didn't lie. The numbers didn't lie. At the end of the day, whatever game I played in, I was putting up numbers. Fortunately, one of my high school coaches, his wife, was a former student at Vermilion Community College, and she still was in contact with a lot of schools from the MCAC. So Northland, Masabi, Itasca, Vermilion, all those schools. So she kind of was very helpful in my recruiting process. Her as well as my head coach, they took on some pretty major mentorship roles. And again, my mom, she was very supportive, but she definitely didn't know the ins and outs of just the recruiting process of basketball, especially at the collegiate level. I'm the first one in my family to get a college degree, so it was a lot of figuring out I had to do on the fly. But I knew I wanted to get there. But luckily, they took on a great role, and they were sending out film for me, teaching me how to send emails and like network myself. So it was a lot of learning on the fly. It definitely was. I sometimes didn't even like my film, and I would be like, okay, I'm just gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna set up my own camera and record myself like doing things, and then I
Yeah.
would just email it to a coach like, hey, look at me. Um, so it was a tough recruiting process. I was definitely not on the timeline. I was recruited very lately, but luckily enough, Shannon Nelson, she's like my angel. Oh my goodness. I love her. Talk to her till this day, but she actually came and found me. And she recruited me very heavily. She was a very consistent coach. We have built a very strong relationship. Like she never gave up. Um, she showed up for a lot of big games. That's a 5-hour drive from the cities to Thief River Falls. So she was taking that drive consistently to come watch me in games and be supportive. And basketball really for me it's about cultivating relationships that'll last a lifetime. And I felt like she really rang true to that. And we built just like such a trusting relationship. I knew that I could trust her. Um, with the remainder of my basketball career, Shannon Nelson was a Final Four player. She played with Lindsay Whalen, Janelle McCarville. All good. But yeah, so she recruited me heavily. We built relationships, and she rang true to it. The second I packed my bags and I moved up there, like she was fully invested in me, and she asked me my goals. I was very transparent about them. I knew I wanted to play at a high level. I knew I wanted to prove myself and my capabilities. And she looked at me and she said, I know what it takes to get you there, and I will. Um, and I believed her. And we, over those 2 years, we built a wonderful relationship. She trained me day in and day out. I'll never forget. There was even like a day we had a snow day, and all the snow like blew over my door to my dorm. So when I opened the door, I just saw a wall of snow. She came and she dug me out, and then she was like, "Get to practice."
That's
And
commitment.
I
That's
was like,
commitment there. Yeah.
hey. But it was always a place I wanted to be. And again, because we built that relationship and that trust from the jump, um, all good.
Sorry. So I was gonna ask about you. So at Northland, you led the league. You led the NJC AA in field goal percentage. You was first team All American. You was North Division first team. First team. You was Division three All Tournament. You was All Region. You was just having a great time out there. Was the system really built for you? Like, what happened out there?
Man, I was just locked in. Like I had a vision and I had goals, and I really just loved the game. I loved competing. And like I said, when Shannon was teaching me these schemes, and I was just, when I came to Northland, they were just coming off. They had won the national title 2 years prior. They had made a great run the year before. Like I already knew they had a great program, and I just was like, I want to come in and contribute to a high level program. Shannon, she had built a wonderful community around the basketball program up there. Like all the people from town would come to the games and support. And I was like, I just want to be a part of something bigger than myself. Um, and so when she was like, "We're gonna draw things up for you. We're gonna put the ball in your hands. Like we know you can do it." Like that belief just skyrocketed me. But she was like,
I got
"Okay,
what you
good."
said.
But yeah, so it just kind of skyrocketed me, and I just love the edge of competition. When I kind of got in between those four lines, like that mode, like nothing could stop me. I was confident. I did all the things to prep myself. I would take care of my body. I was doing extra workouts. And again, like when that clock starts going and it's game time, I just get into a different mode, and it really does come naturally. I have a natural feel for the game. I just love to say that I win. I love just the crowd getting involved and the cheering. Like it gets me going. So to hear more of that and to know that it's for me, I'm like, let's keep it rolling. I'm just
Right.
so happy. And I'm a natural competitor. I love, it's kind of like putting on a mask. You get in those four lines, you're a completely different person. And after we get out these four lines, like it's all fun and games. And I kind of feel like everybody needs an outlet like that. Everybody needs an outlet to show their competitive edge. And basketball was just always mine. It definitely is a love and a passion. Like when they talk about something you fall in love with early on, that was just what it was for me. You couldn't keep me from it. I always wanted to learn more schemes, ways to score, ways to rebound, ways to be the best. And I just couldn't get enough of it. I couldn't. And Shannon just reminded me of my goals. She's like, you have to do this if you want to play at the next level. And I was like, done. It was never a question. You need this? Done, coach. I got it. We need to do extra workouts? Done, coach. I got it. You need to average a double double? Done, coach. You know, and she kept that in the back of my mind. And again, knowing that I was in an environment where I already wanted to make impact anyway, it kind of just seemed like a win-win for me. Do both
Right.
and you get both.
Right. You averaged 17.3 and 8.8 for your entire career at Northland. When you said the ball was in your hands, it truly was, man. And like, just what was the confidence like? I know you described a little bit, just having a coach have a confidence in you, and just hearing the crowd and everything. It's just going for you. Did at times it feel like you were just in a zone? Because 17 is a lot. I don't care what age or what competition level. 17 is a lot.
Yeah, I definitely was in a zone. I definitely was in a zone. And again, it also came from my teammates, the belief that they had in me. I could admit, probably growing up, I was definitely more on the insecure side, the self conscious side. Um, and that never was the case in basketball. That never was the case in basketball. I always got compliments in basketball. It was always something I was good at, I felt good at. Um, and my teammates just always kind of hype me up. And I was like, they believe in me. I don't want to let them down. Again, basketball, I'm big on connections. I'm big on family. And here's a group of people that say they believe in me. Probably one of my biggest fears was to ever let them down. I never wanted anyone to leave a practice and being like, this is the player we're relying on. And she didn't, perform.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes I might have went overboard. I didn't like to lose. Just truth be told, I know that's a little cookie cutter, but I didn't like to lose. And I knew if the player in front of me wasn't putting up those numbers, it was very rare that we would lose. So I made sure that I would and I could be a reliable teammate for my
I know that's
teammates.
right. So you end up before the transfer portal era, you ended up transferring to Grand Canyon University, GCU.
Yeah.
What was that going into, and what was that now before you wasn't getting recruited before, but now you know a little bit about recruiting processes. So what was that like, and what was how different was it?
Yeah. I mean, even then, it was still a little different. People had 2 years of eligibility and
Hmm.
um, they, they, you know, they had 2 years of eligibility, and I was like, you got to go somewhere. You can't stay here. You can't stay here. And so um, I was like, okay, so what do I do now? They're like, you got to get a scholarship to go somewhere. So again, it was honestly for me kind of back to the drawing board. I was sending out film. Myself, Shannon, we were
Hmm.
sending out film, trying to find someone to bite. Again, it was a little late. Some teams were probably already being developed. Um, but I just knew I really wanted to hit that goal. I really wanted to play Division 1 basketball. I had some D2 offers, I had some NAIA offers, but Division 1 was a huge goal for me, and not
Hmm.
because Division 1 is flashy, and the big goal for everybody, but like I really believed that I could compete at that level. And I wanted to be there just to see, like, if I could prove it to myself, and I was right. And if I wasn't able to compete, I could have admitted that. I could have admitted that. Like, they're just a different caliber. But something inside of me just really told me that I could. And I think again that really drove me. So we sent out emails and film like crazy. I
Hmm.
was probably sending about 15, 20 emails a week. And most of them were no's. Hey, we already got our roster full. Hey, you're just not what we're looking for. I was a heavier set kid. I was a 5, I'm
Right.
6 foot, 200 pounds. I'm big. A lot of high level coaches want slim, agile 5s with long arms. I wasn't that. But I also knew that, and I think that played in my favor a little bit of learning how to be a little more savvy about my game, and learning how to maneuver and be successful still. So again, it took a lot of marketing. It took a lot of it took the right person to kind of believe in me. It took a lot of no's before that yes. Unfortunately, Nicole Powell from GCU, she was the head coach at the time. She took a chance on me, and I mean, she was very honest. She was like, "You have things you need to work on. We want to slim you down. We want to get you a little more agile." But she said, "We believe you can compete." And right there, again, that was like my trigger. Like, someone believes in me. Like, I'm not gonna prove you wrong. Um, so she took a chance on me. Again, it was probably very late. Um, I didn't even visit GCU. I had never been to GCU in person, like on campus. I had never been there. And I was like, here's this offer right in my hands. I said, send it to me through a fax. So she literally faxed my letter of intent that day. I signed it
Dang,
immediately
we weren't even
and
using fax
faxed it
machine.
back. I did. I know it's so old school. Now it doesn't even happen like that.
Yeah,
But I faxed it back that day, and literally within a week, I packed all my things and I moved to Arizona. And I really took that chance. I took that leap. Um, and yeah, I was like right into the thick of it. It was like, you move in, here's your dorm, workouts start Monday. And I was just in it like, here we go. Here we go.
dang,
So yeah, definitely a long process, but once the process started processing, it was very quick. It was very quick.
gotcha. And so you end up playing 19 games that year. You averaged 13,
Mm-hmm.
golly, 13.3? Dang, you was out there. Hey, you wasn't trying to prove it wrong, was you? What was it like playing and doing well? Because you shot 58% from the field. Now, you was talking about how you called yourself, I'm not saying that you called yourself overweight. So you're
Mm-hmm.
out there balling right now. And like, what is it
Yeah.
like that junior year? What do you remember from that year?
Um, I remember learning a lot. I remember learning a lot. And as much as I love the game of basketball and I love the competitive edge, I can wholeheartedly admit that shift, it was a big difference. It was a big difference. I still had a ton to learn. Um, but I think, again, my saving grace was that I was a sponge. I wanted to learn. I was receptive. I was happy to be in an environment with so many different people. And I mean, I had teammates from India, Spain, Finland, Australia. Like, I was meeting people from all walks of life, and I wanted to learn. I was like, there's no way the only way I know basketball is the only way.
Right.
And so I wanted to learn as much as I could. We had coaches from all over. We had coaches who graduated from UCLA, coaches who played pro, coaches who had coached at other schools. So I really just wanted to learn as much as I can. But I also knew they meant business. They weren't going to let me slide. I also came to that program and I wasn't the star. I was the starting five. And, like you said, they put the ball in my hands at Northland. Here, they weren't worried about putting the balls in my hand. The starting five was 6'5" and he was
Dang.
doing damage. They weren't worried. They weren't worried about me. So I had to figure out how, again, like, how was I going to make impact for this team? It wasn't the same way. I was on, like you said, I was overweight. I was on a very strict diet program. I had to police myself and the things I ate and the way I took care of my body. It was a whole new avenue of learning how to be a high level athlete and competitor. I had to eat differently. I had to hydrate differently. I had to study differently. And then I still had to come here and compete with some girls who already knew this process. So it was definitely an adjustment. Um, and I had to put the work in. Like, it was no, just because you got a scholarship and we asked you to come here means that the red carpet is laid out for you. Because it wasn't that. It was like, okay, you're coming here and you're coming here to work. And,
Right.
you know, it was evident day one. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I might have been leaning over that trash can day one. I might have been gasping for air day one.
Yeah.
But again, like, I was in that environment and I wasn't the top performer. I didn't like that. I didn't like that I was the one that had to keep up. And this was a group of people that eventually had to rely on me. I was part of the team. So I was like, I can't be that person.
Hmm.
I can't be that person. So it really just motivated me. It sent kind of like that determination into overdrive. And I just went to work. I started leaning on our starting five. I started doing extra workouts with our guards, watching extra film with my coaches. And then it was only then, once I started really like being consistent in my process, is when those minutes started to display. Um, but again, that type of work ethic that you need at the Division 1 level, definitely when you get in the game, you're like, I'm ready. I'm ready. So once I had put in all that work, I thought about all those hours, all that proved myself, all the changes I've made. I mean, I packed up and I moved across the country for this. Like,
Yeah.
now you just got to put it, you got to put it on display. And we were playing some big schools. I think one of my first games when I got to GCU, I think it was like our first or second game of the season, we played Duke. Now I'm a little girl out of Minnesota, and all you hear about Duke is like, like the
Yeah, we're
greatest team
crazy.
ever. I'm
Yeah.
like biting my nails. I'm like,
Yeah.
first game of the season, like Duke. Okay, So I was fortunate enough to see like some high level competitors. And again, it was just all about, for me, it was never like I wanted to be the best of the best per se, but I wanted to show like I could be in this room. Like I can be in this room, I can compete, I have the knowledge, I have the work ethic, and I want to show that. And I want anyone who's in this room with me, I kind of wanted that nod of approval. You never really had to give me a compliment or even like admit that I was worthy of being in that room, but just that nod of approval, that respect, like and I know, and it felt good. And again, in an area where I probably felt the most confident as a young woman growing up, um, it just was like very much fulfilling my purpose.
You are a workaholic. I'm starting to realize that. You are a workaholic. Just listening to you, you're a workaholic. You are a workaholic.
I
And
am.
and
I
that's
am.
that spoke to you starting 16 games your senior year. You went from, trying to compete and trying to battle with the starters, the 6'5" people and all that stuff. Now you're a starter. What did that was that like a relief for you? Like, holy cow, I'm really working. It's rewarding that I'm getting now I'm starting these games.
Yeah, it was rewarding. And my coaches were tough. My coaches were tough. They definitely weren't just going to give you like a pat on the back because you wanted one or because
Hmm.
you thought you deserved one. Um, they always were kind of looking for that next thing you could get better at. Um, and so it wasn't too much praise from them, but it felt like they trusted me. And again, I never really needed the praise, but to know that you trust me, um, and just who I am as a person and the integrity that I have, I wasn't going to let you down.
Right.
So when that starting spot was given to me, like, I didn't take it lightly at all. And it's funny, like everyone I've grown up with in my life, like they'll be the ones to tell you, like, I love nothing more or don't get fired up more than like when it's time for the starting lineup and like the lights go off and the crowd gets loud, like that. There's no other feeling like it in the world to me. There's no other
Right.
feeling. And so to finally like be there on a stage that I've worked so hard to get to. I was number 53, so I always got to go last. Like it was like I made it. It was almost like my I made it moment. Like the lights are down, the crowd's cheering, the music's playing, and they're gonna call my number. And I have a team that trusts me. Um, there's no other feeling that I could probably explain to you that gives me that same feeling. And that's why I know it's definitely a passion of mine. It's a love of mine. It's something that kind of fuels everything that I do. But I just felt good. I felt good. I felt like all the hard work I've been putting in, not only in my sports, in my academics. I'm in my senior year again. I'm the first one in my family to go to college for real. Um, so I definitely was in the zone, kind of like you said. It felt good, and all I knew is I wanted to, especially in my senior year, like I wanted to leave something behind. I
Mm.
wanted to leave something behind. I wanted to make an impact. I didn't want to be a player where, when my time was done there, it wasn't like, oh, those players didn't work too hard, or who even remember, like if they were talking about number 53 from 2019, like they were gonna have something positive to say. I knew I
Right.
wanted to leave a certain mark and a certain impact. Um, but I was just grateful that they trusted me. And they also gave me the opportunity that I have wanted since I was 6 years old.
Yeah, you definitely got that. You definitely shine through it. You had two double doubles, 10 times in scoring figures. Yeah, you did your work out there. I ain't gonna lie.
Thank, thank you.
Gotcha. So just now moving forward past your playing career, um, you then ended up coaching at Shadow Mountain High School. Now, what was there a break in between? Did you do something between that?
Yeah, there was a little break. So after I graduated, again, I was away from my family.
Hmm.
My mom actually had another baby, so I grew up an only
Oh,
child my
started
whole
over.
life.
Whoa.
Started all the way over. She did. And so I now have a little brother.
Hmm.
Shout out Zayden. But um, I knew I wanted to spend some time with him. She had him like right at the beginning of my senior year. So after I graduated, it was very just important for me to go back home and spend some time with my family. That was probably another thing I wasn't really prepped for. Being Northland, I could take a little road trip and drive home on the weekends
Hmm.
if I wanted to. That was a little different in Arizona, not only because I'm across the country, but that schedule was very demanding. So it was like I never even had the free time to do so. So after my season had ended, I really wanted to go home. I wanted to spend some time with my family. I wanted to reconnect, get back in Minnesota, just kind of take that break. Um, but then eventually I'm a workaholic. So eventually I got tired of sitting still. I had my little time to relax, and then I was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to go back to Arizona. I had built a good foundation out there
Hmm.
just because of college. I had made a lot of good lifelong friends out there. Um, and so I was like, I'm ready to go back. I'm ready to go back. And I played semi pro out there with a program called Lady Elite out of the WBA. Um,
Hmm.
and again, it was so fun. We played for a title in that league as well. Lots of high level competitors of women from overseas or just from the West Coast circuit. So again, meeting all these ladies and playing again. Um, but I still wanted to work and kind of still be a little more foundational. So I made the move into coaching. Out of high school, I did some AAU coaching and I really enjoyed it. And so that was just over like the summer. And I was like, okay, well, I really kind of had a kick with that. And I was like, okay, I want to get back into that. And so I started coaching with Shadow Mountain. Well, I actually started coaching with McClintock High School out of Tempe. And
Gotcha.
I was just coaching like a JV team. But
Hmm.
I was very passionate. I was very passionate. I would coach those JV girls so hard. And one of the coaches of Shadow, who was the head coach of Shadow Mountain, he ended up just being there watching that game. So when he saw my coaching style, he was like, I want to get connected with you. And him and I, we kind of hit it off. Shout out Coach Singleton, but he, again, he like took me under his wing and he just started teaching me like everything coaching schemes. And he's a very well respected coach out in Phoenix. So he introduced me to a lot of people. He had daughters that played at a high level out on the West. He had some girls at like San Jose State. He
Hmm.
coached a lot of high level girls. And so again, like I found myself in an opportunity where I was just able to be a sponge. And I just listened to him have conversations and listen to the way that he would coach these girls. And they were like competitors. So I was like, oh my gosh, these girls are like me. Like they want to get to it. So
Yeah.
I was enjoying myself. I couldn't even express how much I was enjoying myself. And he had ended up taking the head job at Shadow Mountain and he invited me to be his assistant. And I was like, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. And we had a time. I enjoyed coaching Shadow Mountain so much, even through all the kind of COVID stuff. It was a little
Yeah.
messy, but um, we made the most of that season. And those girls, they killed it. Very proud, very enjoyable time.
Yeah. You spent about 2 seasons there, 2, 3 seasons there, and then you ended
Yep.
up getting the opportunity at Scottdale Community College. What was the decision
Yes.
to go to now? Let's move forward and let's go ahead to college.
Going to college. Yeah. So um, after I left McClintock, one of the players who we had coached in high school, she had committed to Scottsdale. And that entire process, just watching her go through her recruiting process with Scottsdale, again, very meaningful in the incorporation of family and building trust. And I absolutely fell in love with the coaching staff at Scottsdale. Coach Tasha and her husband, Coach Joe. Um, they just again had another phenomenal program, a place where athletes to come and develop and work hard and play at a high level, compete for region championships and national championships. Um, but again, like caring about your academics, getting you a scholarship, free education out the door. And I kind of saw a little bit of myself in that player. Like she
Hmm.
really trusted Coach Tasha the same way I trusted Shannon. Um, and so over the summer we kind of worked together a little bit, and Coach Sasha, I had just found out like they were holding interviews, and I just kind of was like, why not, I want to interview, I want to see.
Yeah.
um, and we hit it off. And again, there was another coach in front of me who I felt like I could just be a sponge again and learn more and new avenues and schemes. And now this is another black woman, so that representation for me, and seeing how she operates. And Coach Tasha, she's from the South, so Southern style basketball, I'm learning a whole new avenue. So again, I just wanted to be a sponge, and she saw that. And again, she took me under her wing and she just taught me. She taught me. I can't tell you how many times I was just sitting in her office and I was asking questions, and she would just go about schemes to me. And I loved every minute of it. And again, she was just able to get kids that just wanted to work high level and
Hmm.
come in and compete for something. And these girls, like, they got along well. And again, I was like back in that family environment. So I was like, I love this. And they were competitive girls. We played other high level competitive games. And they always competed. They always competed. And, they were in the region championship both years I was there. They they always had a full roster of girls that wanted to come in and play for them. The campus was beautiful, and it was kind of like fun for me because I was like, okay, I'm a JUCO kid. Like I get to be back in the world of JUCO,
Hmm.
and make impact that way. I'm someone from the NCAA, and these girls have these goals of going to Division I school. Like I wanted to be that. I wanted to be that representation. I wanted to be the one where they could look at me and say it's possible. But I also wanted to be the one to form relationships with young women. I'm
Hmm.
also a teacher, so I love working with youth and young adults in kind of that mentorship aspect. And even outside of sports, like I want to be invited to your wedding. I want to know you're engaged. I want to know that you got a promotion. So again, the fact that it was just another like family environment, and I was at Scottsdale some years ago. I still talk to a lot of those kids to this day. And again, when you think of that word family, like that's what it's about. And Scottsdale brought me that. So again, I'm very fortunate to have been able to work under Coach Tasha and Coach Joe, and them kind of letting me be a sponge. And they knew I was a younger coach. They knew all I wanted to do was learn. And they always taught. They always taught. They always led exceptionally. And they really allowed me to grow as a coach. They still let me have a voice. They let me work hands on in drills. Um, and I just felt like I had so much value. I felt like I was in a place where I belonged. They supported me. They wanted the best for me and to get the best out of me. And they knew I could help get the best out of the girls. And again, it was like I never wanted to break that trust. So it was a beautiful 2 years there.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it came to an end. Um,
Hmm.
it's never been talked about on podcast, but you found that you had lupus.
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
speak on just how did you know and what was like, was it symptoms leading up to it, or was it just like one day I was going for a checkup and I find out?
Yeah. Yeah, there were symptoms leading up. It kind of started with some minimal joint pain, and it became a little more excessive to the point where it became hard for me to walk on my own. There was a point where
Hmm.
I couldn't. Unfortunately, I also had lost all of my hair. Um, Talking about kind of being a heavier set girl, I lost over 100 pounds in like less than a month. So it was like intense, rapid weight loss. I wasn't able to eat. Um, so it was happening very quickly. My body was declining rapidly. By the time we had gotten answers, they had believed that I had lupus untreated for about 4 years. Um, and unfortunately, sun and heat, like Arizona sun and heat,
Yeah.
wasn't wasn't the best for my lupus.
Yeah.
Um, and I didn't know. I don't have any other family members, immediate family members, that are fighting this disease. So I definitely didn't. It wasn't even a thought in my mind. A lot of my doctors didn't know when they first began testing me. My lupus actually displayed as cancer.
Mm.
Um, and they believed that it was terminal. So it was a lot of them believing that they were just going to make me comfortable until it ran its course. Um, Very scary time, something that I've never dealt with.
And
Um,
can you explain what lupus is for the people out there, just so they can have understanding what lupus is?
Absolutely. Lupus is an autoimmune disease that it attacks pretty much everything in your body that's supposed to help you be well. So, your white blood cells, your plasma, your sodiums, your proteins, all of those things that are kind of supposed to be put in place to fight the bad fight. Mine, they were fighting each other and actually pretty much killing each other.
Hmm.
Um, And so, for an example, healthy white blood cell count, you want to be at about a 3 or above. I was at a 0. I was at a complete 0. Um, so my body couldn't even, they couldn't even fight the smallest of things. I wasn't even allowed to eat fruit, like they say, eat your fruits and vegetables to feel better. I couldn't even eat fruits and vegetables because the risk of a parasite entering my body with nothing to fight it. I remember
Really?
spending that time. Yeah, I spent a little time in the ICU. Um, and I remember I had a family that sent me flowers. The flowers couldn't even be in my room because, God forbid, there had been a parasite or something on those flowers that entered my bloodstream. I wouldn't have been able or strong enough to fight it off. So it's been a process. It's been a
Right.
process. But unfortunately, it got pretty bad. Um, and again, I was living in Arizona independently, so um, I had to make the choice to come home. I
Yeah.
had to make the choice to come home. I had to be with my family. Um, I didn't know at that time if I was going to see the other side of it. So I definitely wanted to be with my family. This was also something, I know they're going to be mad at me for saying this, but it was also something for a while I kept hidden from my family because I didn't know how to express it. I was always, fine. I could handle hard things. Like I was always healthy, so I thought it was just something that I was going to brush over. Um, but it wasn't fine. It wasn't fine, and that was hard to admit. But I had to come home, and just by the grace of God, I found an amazing specialist out here who saved my life.
Right.
Who saved my life. She wasn't even supposed to treat me. I was only supposed to go there for a consultation. And she looked at me and was like, absolutely not. And she began working with me immediately. And I'm forever grateful. And since then, I've clearly grown some hair back. I've gotten some weight back. I
Right.
can walk on my own 2 feet again. So I'm very blessed. These last few years have definitely just been, you know, learning how to manage and maneuver this new lifestyle of mine. There is no cure for lupus. It's something that
Mhm.
I will live with for the rest of my life. Um, but you can live. You can still live a life and do all the things you aspire to do. So now I'm definitely moving with passion and purpose. I was given a second chance, and I don't take that lightly at all. This has probably been the most impactful thing in my life that I've ever experienced. And I'm religious. I have a very strong
Mhm.
faith. So I believe that my purpose is not done, and that's why I'm still here. And
Mhm.
I truly try to live that out every single day.
Right. So when you were in, and I don't mean to bring up bad moments, but when you was in
No,
ICU,
absolutely.
you were in
Mhm.
ICU, your whole life you've been a fighter, you've been working hard, and you're always willing to go that extra mile to get the job done when it comes to basketball or life. In that moment in ICU, how are you feeling? Like, is this like, are you wondering, is this, and I mean no respect, is this, we wondering, is this the end of my story? Or is it like, no, I need to battle back for myself?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. Honestly, there were many times where I could have believed that that was the end of my story. Um, because unfortunately, when we looked at like test results and everything, like there wasn't any signs that I was getting better. Um, and I was rapidly declining in the ICU. I was very sick. Um, and I couldn't even, get out of my bed. So I definitely can admit I was feeling defeated. I've never experienced feeling so weak. I'm usually fairly strong. I
Hmm.
had a great bench press. So it was funny. My family and I, we joke about it now, but I used to cry and be like, I lost my superpowers. Um, but I'll be honest, in the midst of this time, the word kind of had gotten out, and I had finally had to admit to my mother the severity of what was going on. And my mom actually had caught a surprise flight and flew to Arizona and rushed to the hospital. And I'll honestly never forget it. That day I was very defeated. I had underwent two surgical procedures that day. I was very, very sick. Um, and I had nurses and doctors just coming in and out of my room. And I right in that moment, I was probably the most defeated I've ever had felt. I was like face deep in the garbage can, and I heard like the door open, and I thought it was just another nurse, and so I didn't really care to lift my head up, and I had felt a touch on my shoulder, and it was my mom. It was my mom, and I had no idea. And in that moment, I kind of broke down, but I knew like right then, like I was gonna start my fight. Like I wasn't gonna let this be the end of my story or my life because I had so much I wanted to do, and I had never not chose to fight.
Hmm.
Everything I've ever I've chose to fight. So I was like, I'm not gonna stop now. So my mom, she came and she cleaned me up, and right then and there we were like, we're gonna get answers, we're gonna learn how to treat this, and we're gonna fight. And so we did. And about a week later, I was discharged. And I moved back. My mom came, she flew to Arizona, and we drove back to
Hmm.
Minnesota.
Hmm.
She packed me up and we drove back. Now that's a 24-hour drive, and
Oof.
it took us about a week to get back. It
Oh
it was
gosh.
it was a long, treacherous
Oh
road trip. It
gosh.
was a long, treacherous road trip.
Yeah.
And so, again, I can't speak the world enough of my mom. And again, her kind of taking on that role and fighting silent battles. I can only imagine, the fear and worry in her. But she put all that aside to make sure, like, I knew she was there.
Hmm.
And again, like even now at 20 some years old, like I still was that kid. Like I said, like I was always watching her. Like I knew she was stressed out that I was sick. And that's exactly why I didn't tell her. But she held it together and she held me down and she took such good care of me. And I tell all my people here back in Minnesota, like, y'all love me back to life. And that's a real thing. Like when you're down in the dumps and you feel like an end all tell all, like go to your people and let them love you back to life. And with being a workaholic, I definitely am also Miss Independent. I can do
Hmm.
all things on my own.
Hmm.
So I never asked for help. I never asked for help. I never wanted help. So this was the first time where I really had to be like, I need help. I
Right.
need help. I needed help for a long time. And my village answered that call like no
Hmm.
other.
Hmm.
They showed up, they took care, they helped with medicine, they helped with doctor's appointments and medications. It was unreal. And I would have never had that same support system in Arizona going through that. So I'm more than grateful that I made the decision to come home and be with my family and people who just poured into me like no other
Right.
during such a hard time.
One, shout out to mom.
Shout out to
definitely
mom.
shout to mom. You said it earlier.
Yeah.
She puts everything before herself, and that was a clear example of I'm gonna go get my baby, and I'm gonna bring her
Yeah.
home. And so
Right.
you pretty much answered my next question. That was gonna be what was that moment of like, I'm gonna fight this. I'm gonna keep going. You answered it. It was just having the love and the support of family around you. So, so now I'm
Yeah.
gonna change my question a little bit. So, so you would say family and everything is what got you through it. And what was that moment of, when you was like, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah. I think luckily my family we're just so silly. Even like in some of the most serious moments, one thing that can we can always count on is like someone to crack a joke and like have laughter. And shortly after I had returned home, they gave me like a few weeks to just rest and sleep and all those things. But then after that, like my family came in like it was like Thanksgiving. Like everybody showed up at the door with like some snacks or some food. And they just brought energy and they would just sit with us. Like we would just sit and we would talk and we would chop it up. And people were just cracking jokes. And I remember I was just sitting there like wrapped up and I was in my little blanket, but I remember like everyone was just laughing. Like everyone was just talking and laughing. And like that moment for me was like, we're going to get through this. Like it doesn't matter like what's thrown at us. Like this laughter, like in that moment, even as sick as I still was, like to be able to laugh and smile, and I wasn't thinking about anything. Like it was just pure joy around the people that I love who decided to show up. They didn't have to. They could have been doing a million other things. They probably had a long day at work. They probably had their own issues, but like my family showed up and they for hours sat for hours, and people weren't leaving till like 8, 9 o'clock, and they just sat with me and laughed. And then finally they were like, just get some rest, and if you want us to come back tomorrow, we will. And I was like, I fought. For me, it was like I fought in every other aspect, and truth be told, like none of them are as important than like fighting for a life to live.
Mhm.
And I come from a very strong family. I come from a very strong family, a little headstrong. We joke about it now, but I tell them like, y'all couldn't get rid of me that easily. Y'all weren't just gonna live a life and I wasn't gonna be a part of it, So we talk about like being stubborn. And I wanted to be with my family. I wanted to be present. I have a little brother now. I wanted to watch him grow and achieve everything that I chased. So it was like there was too much to be left behind, and I've never been a quitter before. So either this disease is going to have to get the best of me and run its course, or it's going to meet its match with me. And fortunately, like this year is my first year in remission. So all of my levels are back to normal. And now it's about just consistent monitoring and just continuing to build that strength and keeping those levels good. So 3, almost 4 years of hard work, but we are in the remission phase. And I'm able to lead. I'm medicated. I take daily medications and I
Mhm.
take weekly injections. But now I'm good. I can walk again and I can run up and down with these kids still. I still kind of give them the business every now and then. They don't want to hear that, but
Yeah.
I still try to keep up with them. Um, but yeah, and I knew I wanted that. Again, I am a workaholic. So once I started healing back up, I was like, okay, I wanna see if I can get back into the swing of
Mhm.
things. I wanna see. I'm missing the noise. I'm missing the squeaky shoes and the basketball sound.
Yeah.
Um, and so I actually started. I ended up coaching like a 10th grade team for Park Center
Mhm.
to see. Like I just wanted to see like if I could really get back in the swing of things. And again, like those kiddos ended up putting another notch on my heart. Like I enjoyed that time. Um, Again, they were younger, had worked with a younger group in a
Mhm.
while, so getting kind of back down to the basics
Yeah.
and getting foundational again. Like even in this whole journey that I've had, like I hadn't thought about the basics in a while, so being able to go back and really like reteach the game that I love, and just seeing if I can do it again. And fortunately, like things have been on the up and up, so I just kind of took it and ran with it from there.
I know that's right. And so then after that, you end up going to now your current school, Anoka Ramsey. What was
Yes.
the decision to go and let me jump back into college?
Well, I definitely knew I wanted to get there. One of my biggest goals and aspirations is I would definitely love to be a head coach of my own program at a high
Hmm.
level. So that's
Hmm.
kind of like the end goal for me. Um, Biggest, role models, Dawn Staley. I got to meet her this past summer. It was probably like the
Ooh.
biggest dream. But yeah, I was a big Pat Summit girl. Gino, even just looking, Cheryl Reeves. I love me some Cheryl. Kim
Hmm.
Mulkey, love me some Kim. Um, but I've always
Whoa,
just
whoa, whoa, whoa,
wanted
whoa,
to.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Before we can, you gotta name Vic Schaefer. Hold on, whoa, 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 relax.
I do love me some Vic Schaefer. I love some Vic Schaefer. I also love how now he's coaching with his daughter. I think that's
Yes,
so
yes,
cool
yes.
that she's on the
Yeah,
staff. Yes.
yeah.
I love me some. I know I should have looked in the back. The Longhorns. I love the Longhorns. I love all the Longhorns. I actually was fortunate enough to be able to do a little work with Rory Harmon back when she was in high
Really?
school.
Okay.
Um, yes, so I do have a strong respect and appreciation for Texas. Don't let me get it twisted. I love the
Gotcha,
Longhorns. I
gotcha.
do.
Hopefully we'll get you there
Um,
one day. Hopefully we'll
but
get you there one
yes, man, that would be a dream. You're gonna be front row, courtside.
day.
Okay. But yeah, so making that jump again. So when I was doing kind of like that high school coaching, one of the parents on the team, he kind of took some notice into my coaching style, and he was a good friend of Coach Sam's, and he knew she was looking for an assistant and kind of recommended me. It's actually funny because my final year at Northland, when I was a player, us and Anoka Ramsey were pretty big rivals. So there was a
Oh
little
God.
bit of under yeah,
Oh
there was a little
gosh.
bit of underlying beef in there. I
Yeah.
know. And it was always great games. It was always great games, great competitors. That's when they were coached under, oh my gosh, drawing a blank on his name right now, but they were under a great coach who recruited me, and I actually just it was a little too close to home. I wanted to test the waters a little far away, so that's kind of
Hmm.
what drove my decision in Northland. um but every time we played them, we battled. And my first years there, we got the best of them. And my final year at Northland, they actually got the best of us. And we played them in the first round of the national tournament in Connecticut. We had to fly through a snowstorm to play the other Minnesota team. And
Oh.
Anoka ended up winning. They ended up winning. And so I had a bad taste in my mouth. I had a bad taste in my mouth about Anoka Ramsey once I left. And this parent, he called me. So we fast forward. This parent, he calls me and he's like, Coach, I've been watching you, and I just feel like you would be a really good college coach. How would you feel about coaching college? And you know me, I'm jumping at an opportunity. So I'm like, yeah, what? This is exciting.
Yeah.
College, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, what school is it? And he's like, Anoka Ramsey. I went mute. I went mute on the phone. And he was like, Coach, are you still there? And I'm like, yep, I'm here. I am here. And it was actually funny. That night I went back and I texted my coach Shannon and I was like, would you be okay if? And luckily, Shannon, again, we still have a very tight relationship to this day. She completely wanted me to take that opportunity. She was
Mm,
like, yes, you're ready for this. Coach Sam is a great coach. You'll get to go be that sponge and learn and develop players. She's like, absolutely take the opportunity.
yeah.
And I did. I met with Coach Sam. We interviewed like later that week, and we hit it off instantly. We have the same mindset when it comes to being competitors, and We love to scheme and scout and develop, and we hit it off right away. We hit it off right away. And again, I just felt that family energy. I felt like I was going to be in a place where we got to make impact. Anoka Ramsey has always had a great track record at being a competitive program. And so I was like, absolutely, absolutely. We took that opportunity, and I've enjoyed my time here. I have enjoyed my time being a sponge again, working with another group of young women from my own community I grew up.
Hmm.
That has been so fulfilling, um, and being able to make impacts where I grew up, and helping them kind of see the lights that they have that they probably don't even realize yet. So I have really enjoyed my time being back home, being healthy again, working in my community. My family's able to come and support and watch. I still get to see my former coach every now and then,
Hmm.
and she's telling me she's proud and I didn't let her down. And it's again, it just all is tying in back to everyone here loving me back to life. And when I do decide to go for that program or that head coach role, like, I'm gonna feel so poured into that. Again, it's gonna be a group of people who poured into me. I never want to let them down. So that's how I ended up here.
No, that's right. There, you got one heck of a story. I tell you that much. You have one heck of a timeline. I tell you that much.
Thank you, thank you. It definitely wasn't a cookie cutter path. It wasn't.
Hmm.
But again, I love to be that living testament. Everyone's journey is their own. Everyone's journey is their own, and no two of them look the same. So you really just have to ride the wave of your own journey and dive into it and be your best self, and you won't be let down. And like I said, even in the midst of the setbacks and the trials that I've had, every avenue that's opened up for me, it's like fallen into place, and it couldn't have been more perfect for that time.
Right.
Um and again, I think that's why I say sponge a lot, but I do just love to absorb it. I believe that there's purpose in everything that we do, if we have that mindset to look at it like that. um, and it's just kind of what's been my driving force. It's been
Right.
my driving force the entire time.
I know that's right. I know that's right. So I have a very off-brand question for you. This a little off
Okay.
your story a little bit. Just the you
Okay.
you went from one extreme to another. So I need to know which extreme is better. Now, lupus aside, Arizona summers or Minnesota winters. If you could pick one to stay in for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
I'm gonna pick the Arizona summer because I can sit by a pool.
Yeah.
But I am a Capricorn. I was born in December, so
Yeah.
I love me a good winter day. I get
Uh-huh.
very holly jolly in December. It was funny. The first Christmas I spent in Arizona, I was like, this is the weirdest thing
Yeah.
of my life.
Yeah.
It was
Ain't
so
no
weird. I'm
snow.
looking at a palm tree
Oh man.
and they're playing Christmas music. I'm like, it's not Christmas time. They're like,
No.
it's December 23rd. I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah, not
So,
even
but
close.
yeah, but I do like those summers. I fell in love with Arizona summers, um, and kind of being in that environment. And maybe that's because I've been through a lot of Minnesota winters.
Yeah, a
Maybe
lot of
that's why.
Minnesota winters. So, another off-brand question that I have for you is, now Arizona, you got the desert, and I know it's hot there, but Minnesota, I need you to speak a little bit about the Minnesota weather. Originally from Boston, and we get a lot of
Okay.
snow, but you
East
guys
Coast.
get
Yep.
negative like it's nothing. What is the
Hmm.
temperature that has to reach to before kids get out of school?
They say the wind chill has to be like -20.
Oh my,
So anytime our wind chill hits like -20, we're calling it. But other than that, you're getting up and going to school. You gotta go.
jeez
Yeah. It was.
Louise.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And that's the thing. That snow is beautiful, but that Minnesota cold, it's different.
It coming off them lakes, isn't it? That's what it is. Coming off them lakes.
Yep, all the water we got, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then and Minnesota's mostly flatland, farmland, so there's nothing but space and
Hey,
opportunity for
nothing. There's nothing for it to cut off of. No mountains, nothing to cut.
right, right. So it gets pretty cold. When I was a student at Northland, I think the coldest day I ever experienced was -60. No
Oh
wind chill.
my gosh.
No wind chill. And like there was like ice around the doors on the inside of our dorm room. It was crazy.
Do you guys have to so
Yeah.
dripping your faucet, that's not even that don't even help. Like, does your water freeze a lot?
It could. Luckily, when you're up at Northland, most of the time you're up there by a lot of like manufacturers and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So all the pipes and things up there, they're built for it. They
Gotcha.
are built
Gotcha.
for it. But
Gotcha.
if you bring something up there that's not built for it, you'll struggle.
Good luck,
You'll
huh?
struggle.
Yeah, good luck, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the last segment I have for you is it's called motivational time. This is new to season 3. I asked 3 to 5 motivational things, and you have a motivational story regardless. Let's start there. But but the first question I always ask is women's basketball. I'm gonna fill in the blank. Women's basketball is.
Women's basketball is impactful.
Mm,
It's impactful. Um, Again, kind of when I talked about that representation, um, they say a lot of young women who play sports growing up, they're put in positions to be leaders in the workforce, and in their avenues. And I think that's important. I think it's important to know as a young woman the capabilities you have, the strength you have. And I think women's basketball just displays that in such just an incredible way. An incredible way.
gotcha. Um, outside of your mom, because this is the obvious. That's the obvious answer. But who deserves more credit in your story?
That's a lot. That's a lot. I was blessed with a village.
Hmm.
I was blessed with a village, and I feel like a lot of people in my life like have their own chapter of when they were the most impactful to me. But I think about my great grandmother. I'm very fortunate to still have my great grandmother. She's 93. She has shown up to almost every game I've ever played in or coached. Um, she's been present. When I think about my uncle, my mom's little brother, he's the reason I put a basketball in my hand in the first place. When I think about all the coaches that have poured into me when they really didn't have to, um, and they chose to take a chance on me.
Hmm.
Um, that plays a role in my life. When I think of coaches, even like Coach Sam, being able to teach me, and coming off of an illness where I didn't even know if I really still had it in me or not. She still believed and pushed me to be the best version of myself. So I think that could be in many people, anyone in my family, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, the ones who show up every game, whether I'm playing or coaching,
Hmm.
my friends, my lifelong friends who I found throughout college who text me every day and tell me to not let up or ask me if I need something. Um, there's a lot of impactful people in my life. I don't think I could ever credit them to just one. But when they say that it takes a village, I'm definitely a living testament to that. And I couldn't be more thankful for my village. I'm very, very blessed.
Gotcha. And I want you to have 2 conversations right now, okay?
Okay.
First, I want you to go back and what would you say to that 6-year-old girl who just started playing basketball? And second, if you can go back and envision yourself in ICU, you can go back and talk to yourself. What would you say to those 2 people?
Ooh, that's a little emotional, coach. I am an empath, so those tears, they roll down easy. That 6-year-old girl, oh man, as much when I think about back then, it was like there was just so much hope and desire. There was so much hope and desire and just like longing to like show that I could. So I think what I would say to my 6-year-old self is, you can do it. And I'd probably just say it with a smile in my face, like all those thoughts you have are right, and you can do it. Um, and to that girl in the ICU, when I got there, I definitely thought that I didn't. When I was in that position, I definitely thought I took maybe some of my best days for granted up until that point. Looking back now, I would tell myself that you can't see it, but your best days are still ahead of you. There will be more days. This isn't the end. And the best days that I've had now versus the best days that I had before I got sick, night and day, way better. Um, because again, there was definitely a moment in there where giving up did cross my mind. It crossed my mind, and that was a scary place to be. Um, but I would definitely tell myself that your best days are still coming,
Oof, I like that.
and to hold on and get through it, to keep fighting.
I know that's right. And the second to last question I have for you is I want you to look right into the camera, and I want you to say something to your mom because she has been a very impactful throughout this entire story. And I've never done this before, but your mom is the real MVP, one of the best MVPs I've ever seen, honestly. And I want you, like, honestly, I want you to look in your camera, and I'm gonna clip this, and I want you to share this with her on Instagram. I want you to say one thing
Okay.
to your mom. You have me crying, by the way. Sorry, you have me crying.
I might get a little emotional here. You're my girl. You're my girl, and it's been a lot of years and a lot of learning. We butt heads a lot, but I couldn't have imagined a better mom to raise me in this world, to teach me strength in ways that I never even thought that I had internally, to teach me how to get things done, um, to teach me how to move with intention and love and care about people. I got that all from you. And we could be yin and yang. We could be yin and yang. But some of my best qualities are from my mom, and just thank you. And I really hope I didn't let you down and I made you proud. And
Oh,
thank you for
oh,
coming to get me.
oh.
Thank you. Thank you. I know that's a little emotional, but
Give me a sec. Give me a
Mama
sec.
Mia,
Give me a sec. Whoa. Mama, you are MVP. You are MVP. Whoa. Golly. Had to keep it
you're
together
my
there.
thank you.
Last thing I have
Yeah.
for you, as always, is this podcast is I need a Coach Shay's quote.
Coach Shay's quote. I know this is a little corny, but it's rang true. In my whole life, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. You ain't got to get ready. Be ready for those moments. And when you do make impact. No matter what it is. I don't care what avenue it is, sports, art, science, math. Make impact. Leave your impact. Leave it better than you found it. But always stay ready so you don't have to get ready. When that moment comes and you're called, you go in there and you make impact only in the way you know how to do. And you'll never regret it. You'll never regret it.
I know that's right. This is another fantastic interview. Usually we do 30 minutes to 45, but this was such a great interview. It went over an hour. I'm sorry for taking so much of your time. This was an amazing time. Is there
No, thank you
anybody
so much for having.
is there anybody you want to shout out before we end?
Man, just shout out to my village, man. You know, Coach Sam, my mom, my family, Coach Tasha, Coach Cherie, Coach James, all my kiddos watching, every student, every athlete I've ever worked with. Like, I wouldn't have made it this far if it wasn't for my journey with you. So if you catch this and you see this and you're watching, I see you. I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you for helping shape me into me You're part of my story forever. And I love all y'all.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. This is a beautiful interview.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed myself.
thank you. I'm gonna end it. Hold on one second.